No problem. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start it up. So let me share my screen with everybody. Okay. So we are going to go through the steps of Docusign from starting an opportunity through getting your documents submitted to the Market Center for review. So of course you're going to want to go to command to agent.kw.com if you have never been there before. You're going to log in with your regular KW login, same ones you would use for mykw.kw.com. Preferably in Chrome and in an incognito or private browser, so it doesn't save the cookies, which is what I am in. So when you log in, you will be here on the dashboard. Does everybody have at least one contact in command, or know how to put a contact in command? Speak now. Okay, I'm going to skip putting a contact in there because I assume everybody at least has a contact and knows how to put a contact in there. So once you have a contact in your database, you can go over to the handshakes here on the left. That's the opportunities dashboard. And then once you are there, just gotta move faces out of the way. You can click this blue create an opportunity button to start a new opportunity. And it's going to pop up with this box where you have to enter a little bit of information. Market Center, I'm assuming that most of you won't have any options to change this. It will be whatever market center you're at, whether that's Stanford or Ridgefield. A few agents may have access to both market centers, in which case you would just select the market center that you plan on submitting this transaction through. But most of you only have one option, like me. I only have Stanford. Then there is the opportunity type. You can click this drop down. It gives you 4 options: listing, buyer, landlord, or tenant. You want to make sure you select the right option for what transaction you are starting an opportunity for, because which option you choose will determine which documents appear on the checklist for you to upload. And it will also categorize that by, being listing rental or just a listing on a property, so that when, the MCA department kind of sorts things out, it'll sort all, we can sort it out by all listings, all buyers, et cetera, et cetera. So it just makes it easier for us to locate your opportunity. So I'm just going to pick landlord. I'm representing the landlord. Owner is the owner of the opportunity. So this should always be you. And you won't have an option to change this. It's just saying who owns this opportunity. The client is where you're going to put your contact or whoever's buying or selling or renting the property. So you just have to start typing in. I think I added a new contact. I added Crash Bandicoot. Use my landlord for this. And then the opportunity name here. This will always default to your client's name and the opportunity type. You can edit this to whatever you see fit. You can make it the property address if you want to. You can leave it as their name. You can change it however you want, however you run your business. And then if you scroll down, as the being on the landlord side, it's asking us for the lease price. So you can put what the monthly rent would be for this transaction. So I'm just going to say it's $1,500 a month. And then the commission is not necessarily required here. You can put in the commission. Maybe it's half a month. Maybe it's the 4.17%, which is almost the same thing. And then the opportunity phase and opportunity stage, these are more for you to sort of categorize where you are in your transaction with your client. So are you just kind of starting out? Do you have an appointment with them? Are they actively a client? And then from here, you have showings, et cetera, et cetera. You can kind of adjust these as you see fit. And then you can create the opportunity. And again, these stages and phases are more for your benefit than they are for the benefit of the compliance department. So I wouldn't get too hung up on making sure the stage and the phase are, quote unquote, correct. And then when you're done, you can create. And once you create your opportunity, it's going to bring you to the dashboard for that particular opportunity. You can see what we named the opportunity here. Our client's name is here. And then this is the details page. And on this page, we ask that everybody go to this box here, the property box, and it's blank now, but if you click on the little pencil to the right, you can edit it and you can start typing in the property address here. 123 Main Street in Norwalk. And once you select the one, it'll automatically put the country, the state, the city, the zip, the county. The only thing it does not autofill is unit numbers, apartment numbers, things like that. You'll just have to put that in manually. So 123 Main Street, apartment 2 is our address. And then just save it. And it fills it up here for you. So now we've created the opportunity, and now we need to start focusing on the documents. So you're going to go here to the Documents tab. And here you'll see a list of documents that you may need for a rental listing. Again, there's maybe some documents on here that won't apply to your particular listing, with delayed listing addendum, coming soon addendum. They're there for reference as things that you may need, but you may not need all of them. The ones that you generally need to submit will have this required underneath them. It'll tell you that the exclusive right to lease is required. We require that. We require the agency disclosure, the new COVID disclosure, the property showing form, and the wire fraud advisory. The lease is required. The lead paint form is conditionally required only for properties that are built prior to 1978, etc. So this gives you a rundown of documents that you should be needing. Some of the documents, as for a rental listing, all of them are just here under this listed folder on the left-hand side. These are 3 separate folders. This applies to all the different types of transactions, whether it's a landlord or a listing or a buyer. There's going to be folders here on the side. So if you don't see the document that you need to submit, it may be under a different folder. There's nothing under contract. And then closed folder is always just for the MCA department. This is where we'll put your copy of your green sheet, a copy of your invoice, and a copy of the DA with your checks in it once your checks have been dispersed. So you don't need to do anything with the closed folder here. I'll go back here to the listed folder, and we need to get documents signed by our clients. So in order to get to Docusign, you have to click the Start a Transaction button here in the top right. If you click this button at least one time on your opportunity, it will change to Go to Transaction instead of Start a Transaction, but it's the same exact button. It'll bring you to Docusign. So if you click this, it should open up a tab for Docusign. If you do have pop-up blockers enabled on your browser, you may have to disable those to allow the Docusign tab to open. But once it's open, you're just going to log into your Docusign account. And everybody, feel free to stop me, ask questions, etc. as I go along. Okay, so once you have clicked that button and logged into Docusign, this is where you will be. You will be in your Docusign room. This is created automatically and is associated with that opportunity that you created. So you can see the name of the room is also the same name as the opportunity that I created. So these two are linked together. The first thing you're going to want to do when you get into your room is go over here to the details page. And this is similar to filling in the details on .loop. You're going to put in some of the information on your deal, most importantly, the people involved, so buyers, sellers, the agents, yourself, whoever's the agent on the other side, as well as the property address in question. So the property address goes here in this location section. So in order to fill this out, we just have to click the edit button here, and it will open up all these fields for us to fill out. So now I can fill this out. You don't need to fill out all of this property type and year bill and special circumstances. What we really need is the property address here. And then on the right-hand side, you will have the people involved. So this is for the seller, which in this case would be the landlord. Landlord and seller and buyer and tenant are going to be synonymous on the details page. So you could put in information for a second seller or landlord. This would be you as the listing agent. I'm representing the landlord here. Oops. Summer Street. The company box, you're going to want to put with the name of your office. So for Stanford, it's Keller Williams Prestige Properties, because this will pull onto some of the forms. That's why we're filling this out, is the information that you enter here will pull onto some of your documents, and you won't have to add that information multiple times. Just pick an agent. This will be our buyer's agent. And then once you're done entering the information, and again, the more information you can enter, the better. You probably don't need to put all these different phone numbers, but you can definitely put their addresses. This information will pull onto forms, so you won't have to add it later on. I'm just not going to put it all just to save a little bit of time. So once you're done, you click save, and remember to actually save it, because if you just go to a different page, it will not save any of your changes, and you'll have to put them all in again. So this should have saved everything that I put in. And now we're going to go to the Documents tab right here. And this is where we're going to pull documents and get them filled out. Not signed, we're just going to get them filled out, things that the agent would normally fill out. So in order to pull forms, you're going to go to the plus add button here, and you click it, and there's a drop down option, and you're going to pick the second option, which says Docusign Forms. If this is your first time clicking the Docusign Forms option, you may have a slightly different box here that asks you to select a provider, and it wants you to enter your NRDS ID. You don't have to do that. There should be an option at the bottom right that says something along the lines of proceed without validation, or something to that effect, and you can just click that, and it will bring you straight to this box here where it says add Docusign Forms. So once you are here, if you leave this first drop down as is and then just go straight to the second one, it will categorize the documents we have based on the MLS that they belong to. So you'd be able to find all of HR forms here, all of our proprietary forms under this KW612-CT. All of the smart MLS forms would be here under this one. If you switch this top option from Docusign Forms Library to Docusign Forms Group, and then use the second dropdown, it now categorizes the documents based on custom folders that we made. So we made them with buyer docs, landlord docs, listing docs, and tenant docs. So these are docs that you need for those particular transaction types. Which tab are you talking about, Dawn?
The one you're on right now with the documents, like one step back.
So let's just.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. So we were on the details tab, and then we went here to documents. It's this
Okay,
tab right next to details.
Okay, all right.
And once you are on the documents tab, go to this plus
Okay,
add button
okay.
towards the top right, and
All
select Docusign Forms from the
Okay.
drop down.
Perfect.
And
That's
then
what
it's
I
going to
missed.
pop up with this this box about adding Docusign Forms. So this is where we were. So I'm going to switch this from Forms Library to Forms Group. And then because we're doing a rental listing, I'm going to switch this to Landlord Docs. And we categorize forms that you would need for a rental listing into this folder, so that you can find them more easily. So just going to pick some basic forms. Just going to say we're just meeting our client and we're just getting some representation paperwork filled out. So I'm just going to do the exclusive right to lease and the agency disclosure for now. And I'm going to add those documents. You can add as many of these documents as you want to your room. Once you do, they will appear here once this loads.
And you can upload documents and they would be in the same room?
If you want to upload documents like from your computer versus these Docusign forms, you would just go to the add button and select the first option, computer, and then you can upload PDFs or whatever documents you have and place them here.
Okay.
Okay, so I pulled through these two forms. So now we need to go and edit the forms. There's nothing to edit on the agency disclosure, it's just signatures, but we're going to go to the exclusive right to lease. You just click on the document and opens it up for you. Okay. So now it opened it up, and if you can see, it took the information that I put into the details page and auto-filled it onto this form for me. So it has our owner, Crash Bandicoot, who gives Realtor Keller Williams Prestige Properties, exclusive right to list the property located at, and it gives you the address here. All this is filled in from my details page. So that's why you enter it in, because this information will fill on multiple forms that you're going to be submitting. So you won't have to add in your client's name, etc., multiple times. So there's parts of it, of course, that are not specifically filled out. Rent shall be 1,600 per month.
Sam, does this information get fed over from command also, or is it just from that Docusign on the right side?
So it only gets fed from the details page that we entered. I think there's some sort of glitch or something going on. It started like last week. It used to, the details page actually used to pull some information directly from command. It used to pull your client's name and put their email and their phone number, and it used to put your name as the agent, you know, depending on the transaction you created. You know, if you created a listing, it would put you under the listing agent box, and it would put your name and your company and etc. But as of last week, it all of a sudden stopped pulling it. I assume that's a glitch. When they fix something else, that kind of got screwed up. So I'm assuming that will come back in the future to pull some of that information so you won't have to add it again. And again, this, you would just fill out all of this information that you need to fill. on the exclusive right. I'm not going to fill out every single box. Again, hold the property address, put it right there for me. Realtor, the address, etc., etc. Okay, so this is pretty much everything that I, as the agent, would need to fill out. As you can see, there's still spots for signatures that aren't available here, as well as the disclosures here that aren't available. That's because this part is only for the agent to fill out and not for the clients. The next step is where we're going to send it to the client. So now that we're, yep.
Can I ask a quick question? Can you strike out language in this stage, or do you have to wait at a different
You have
stage?
to wait until the Docusign, until the next stage when you're going to send it to a client. That's when you would be able to strike something out.
Thank you.
Okay, so I edited everything I needed to edit on this form. So now we're ready to go and get these two signed by our client. So we're going to hover over the document, and you'll see a little bubble up here in the top left. You can use that to check off documents, and you can select as many that are in your room as you want to send to your client to Docusign. And so once you have them selected, on this bar up here, if you select the little pen icon, that's the Docusign. It will put these documents in an envelope and get them ready for signature. Click that, and it's going to bring me to my envelope. First box here is the envelope name. This, we suggest you kind of put what documents are going in this envelope to your client. So here we just have representation docs, just so that if you have multiple envelopes that you're sending out to your client, you'll be able to easily tell what documents were in that individual envelope. It defaults to please Docusign, but if you have 4 envelopes that say please Docusign, you're not going to know which documents you were sending in that particular envelope. So here we put representation docs. Maybe next we'll have a copy of the lease in another one, etc. So you can see we have our documents here. We have to go and add recipients to this envelope. Who are we sending this to for them to fill out? So if you click on the add recipient dropdown and click the first option, pre-tagged roles. And you're always going to want to click pre-tagged roles, because if you don't use the pre-tagged roles, none of the boxes are going to be there, and you're going to have to drag and drop text boxes and check boxes and all that stuff yourself. So let's see, listing agents, and we have one client that is the landlord, and we have, since this is a listing contract of some sort that we are doing, we are going to need our broker's signature on it. So there is an option here to add the listing broker. Again, remember, Rick only gets the documents after everybody has signed everything. So don't send him a half-signed document that goes for dual designated as well. Don't send him something that only your clients have signed and not the other side's clients. He wants it only after everybody has signed, so that he can review the document in its completion.
So you can designate when each person gets to sign it?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
And I will get to that in 1 second on how you designate who gets it at what stage.
Okay.
So once you've selected the roles, if you go over here to this these drop-down boxes that say select, you can choose who's associated with each of these roles. So this one is for listing agent. And if I go down here, I can find myself and I can select it. And then there is our landlord one, which was, in this case, it was Crash Bandicoot. So we're going to make Crash Bandicoot our landlord. And, listing broker. So we did not add Rick in as a person. There was no spot for him on that details page for a listing broker. So you can just leave this on select, and then you can manually just add in his name and his email address to it. So there's no spot on the details page for a listing broker. So that's sort of what needs to be done. So just add the selected, and it is going to put the roles here. So here we have the listing agent. It added my name and my email address. Our landlord one, it added his name. I did not add an email address to this contact because I only have one personal email and it wouldn't let me add it. Two different ones. And then here under listing broker is where you would add in Scott. Okay, so we have all three people here, and if you want to change the order that they are sent, you use these numbers on the left-hand side of each recipient. So right now they're all listed at 1. That means all three of these people would get the documents at the same time for signature, and that's not what we want because we want to make sure that Rick gets it last. And normally the order would go your clients, then you as the agent, and then Rick if he needs to sign this form. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to make our landlord, leave them as 1. Then we're going to go up here and just change this to 2. And once you change a number, it automatically moves that one down in the list. So sometimes it throws people off. And then our listing broker, we're going to make him 3. And you can also just drag and drop these people if you wanted to by clicking on these dots here on the left-hand side of each recipient and just, kind of drag and drop and move them around. So now we've got all of our recipients. We've got the order that we want them to be signing this. So the last thing we have to do at this point is just add an email subject and message. So this is what they're going to, your client or anybody who receives this is going to receive in their email. Documents. Again, you can edit this to whatever you want. You can address it directly to your client if you want to address it directly to them. It's whatever it's what they're going to receive in their email. So once you are done with that, you can go to the top right and click the next button, and this will bring us to the actual forms themselves, so we can view all of the signature fields and text boxes and check boxes and anything else to make sure that they're correct. So just give it a minute to load. So here we have the agency disclosure, and we have a signature field here, the buyer seller, and one over here under the agent that's blue. If you go to the top left and use this drop down here where it says Crash Bandicoot with a little yellow dot, you can see what color is associated with which fields and which client. So yellow boxes are associated with my client, Crash Bandicoot. Blue boxes are associated with me as the agent, and purple boxes are associated with Rick. So as you're going through, you can see easily which box goes with which person. The way Keller Williams templated this, they put the sign fields over here. It doesn't matter if you feel comfortable. I mean, if you don't like the fact that it's just in the middle here, you can go ahead and move this box over. Same goes for this. You can move these boxes over and put them wherever you want. You can drag and drop, you can delete. These are just templates for you to make your life easier so you don't have to add all these boxes yourself. Then it goes straight down to the next document in line, the exclusive right to lease. And you can see here that this is all set up with these radio boxes for our clients. It's kind of hard to tell, but they are outlined in yellow color, so they are associated with my client, Crash Bandicoot. So when he receives these forms, he will have to fill out this section, all these boxes. And then we have here a signature box and a date box for my client under owner, signature and date box for me as the agent. And then it has a signature box here for the broker, for Rick to sign. Because there was no specific date field, Keller Williams didn't add a date field. If you want to have that date field for Rick, I don't know if it's necessarily required, but if you want it, you can switch this option here to Rick, and then all these options here will turn purple. So whatever you use will be for Rick. So if you need to add a signature, add initials, what we want to add is a date signed box. I'm just going to click it. And now when I move over, there's now a date signed box. And I can just place it where I want to place it. You can also add boxes for people's names, emails. There's boxes for generic text boxes, check boxes, and things like that. Anything that you might need to add. Again, most of it should be already there on the templates. But if you felt that you needed to add something in there, you could always add a text box and type something in. I know Nancy was asking about striking things out. If you do need to strike something out, if you go on the very left-hand side to this little pencil, it says markup tools. There should be only one option in it. It's the line. And this is used for striking something out. So you just click and drag. And now I have a strikeout there. And this is where, if I needed to add my own text box, I would put this as myself. And I would drag a text box and put maybe whatever needs to replace that strikeout. I can also add, maybe I need my client to confirm this. I could add an initial field so that my client is initialing this change to the document.
Sam, I have two more questions on that. Does my client have the option of using the strikeout tool when they receive the document? Let's say, for example, they don't want a lockbox. And I did not know that. Would they have the ability to strike that language out?
I think they do on the client side. I'm not entirely sure. I've never played around with it on the client side to see how many of these, boxes and tools that they can actually use. So I'm not going to say yes or no because I'm really not sure whether or not they have the option. I would have to test that out.
And one more question. I noticed before when you used the strikeout tool, you were in Rick's, I guess you would call that Rick's.
Oh, yeah, I was under Rick's.
You were under Rick. So my question is, anytime I'm now going to edit within that document, do I need to be under my name to do so? I would think I would be, no?
So any of these boxes, hold on. Any of these boxes that you choose.
Features on that document.
All of these boxes are associated with an individual person. So because they're yellow, they're associated with my client right now. The strikeout tool is generic.
Okay.
So the strikeout tool is just a line. It's not associated with anybody. It will just appear on the document. I also learned you can change the color of the line. Because I don't know why. I like it in black because I like it in black. But you can change it to black, blue, or red if you want to change the color of it. And again, you can have text box, initial box, etc. But the strikeout tool shouldn't matter who you're on, but all these fields will. So as you can see, I took a text box out and that was assigned to me because I was going to change this word to whatever I wanted to. And then I put a yellow initial box because I want my client to initial that change to make sure that, everybody knows that they were aware that this strikeout was made and they're confirming it. So let me go real quick. Oh, for Adonis, you can also change the thickness of the strikeout. Look at that. Huh. The more you know.
Sam,
Yes.
can you undo it if you decide that I didn't want to do that? Is there like an undo button? I think on the top up there, those two arrows, is that what those are?
This would undo whatever the latest change But again, you know, just like Microsoft Word, sometimes you click undo and it undoes more than you wanted it to do. So just make sure you're paying attention that it's not maybe deleting something or changing something else as well. You can also just delete anything that you want. Just click it and click backspace or delete, and it'll disappear. And that goes for any of these boxes that you put on there. You can delete them. Again, you can also change the size of them using the little white, no, can't make it any bigger, but I can make the initial box smaller if I needed to. But same thing goes for text boxes. You can change the size of them to include, you know, a bigger space for more text if you need. And yeah, that's about that. So we've got all of our signature boxes and text boxes and initial boxes where they're supposed to be. So we're going to go ahead and send this out. And yeah, I'm going to send it only because I know if I don't fully sign it, Rick won't get it. And I don't want Rick to get it because it's a dummy transaction. So once you click send, it's going to bring you to your envelopes page in your Docusign room. So, hold on 1 second. So it brings you here to this envelopes tab. We started from the documents tab, but this is where it brings you, and it shows you that you've sent this envelope and it's waiting for others to sign it. And it's blue means that it's waiting for signatures. If you did not send this out, you started it, but maybe you're going to come back later to it, this would appear gray and it would say draft. And then once the entire document is signed, it will change to a green bar and it will say completed. And then once those documents have been fully signed by everybody on the list, they will move to your documents tab as a completed document. So you would have, you know, the agency disclosure form, and then you would have agency disclosure as a signed PDF document. Same thing for the exclusive right. You would have this original form, and then you would have the signed PDF version of it. This is so if there's any changes made, like maybe to a purchase agreement, maybe the price changes down the line, you don't have to fill out all of the information again. You've already filled it out one time here. Maybe you just need to go in and change the sales price, and then you can resend that to your clients for a signature. So once you get your documents signed, you need to upload them to Command so that you can submit them to the MCA. So your Command tab should still be open on the top left. And this is where you would go down your checklist. So we had the exclusive right to lease. So I found it here on the checklist. And then where it says add a file to the right-hand side, you're going to select that. And you're going to get this box that pops up. And if you got it signed through Docusign, you can select Docusign here instead of manual. I'm just going to click that bubble. And then this will list all of the documents that are in that room, that Docusign room that I created. So right now there's only the 2 forms that I pulled in. When you have more, like when they're completely signed, you'll have multiple versions, but this will end with -signed. So that's how you know it's the signed version. So when this comes back signed, it'll say Agency Disclosure 2015 -signed. And that will be the one that I want to upload. For now, I'm just going to upload. Oops. So you select a document you want. So we're going to upload this exclusive right to lease. Just check it off and click assign. And it automatically assigned it here. That way it's a little bit cleaner and easier for everybody to see. So, you know, if you're looking for an exclusive right to lease, you look here and here's the associated document and you can click on it and open it up. Same thing for agency disclosure. But let's say that there's a document that you didn't get signed through Docusign that you need to upload. I think I have the lead paint somewhere. So we're going to go with the lead paint. Same thing, you do add a file, but instead of using Docusign, you're just going to use manual, and you're just going to browse your computer. form. I'm going to open it. It's going to go there. And I'm just going to assign it. So now I've assigned documents, assuming I assigned everything that I need. And I want to submit this to my MCA for review. It's pretty simple. Once you have all the documents you want uploaded, you click this Submit to MC button here, and it will submit it to your MCA. It's the same thing as submitting your loop for review in Dotloop. I'm sure a lot of you remember Lisa probably telling you to submit your loop. Don't forget to submit your loop. This is the same thing. You submit to MC. It asks you if you want to submit it. Just click yes, and then it will have submitted. This button will be grayed out unless you have at least one document in the folder. So if you come here and it's completely grayed out, it's because you have nothing to submit. So just make sure you upload something and then submit. You can continue to add documents later. So it's okay if you submit it and maybe you don't have a fully signed form yet. If you don't have a fully signed lead form yet, but you have everything else, submit that. We'll review it. We'll probably tell you, please upload your lead disclosure. Just upload it when you get it. Don't wait until you have every single form fully signed before you submit it. Submissions should happen at the same time. If you're doing a listing, it should be at the same time within 3 days of you getting the signed listing contract. If you are on the purchase side of a deal, it should be within 3 days of an accepted offer that you should be submitting your documents, as well as submitting a green sheet for it. This particular transaction type doesn't have anything under this under contract folder, but if it did, each folder needs to be submitted individually. So if I submit this one, it doesn't necessarily submit the under contract folder as well. So you're going to want to make sure you submit both of your folders to the MCA. If you have all of your documents just happen to be under one folder, then you don't need to submit the second one. But you want to make sure you submit both of them for review. So those are the basics of using Docusign and correlating it over to Command. Does anybody have any specific questions?
I just have one question, Sam. What does that sync transaction thing do, the button?
I'm not entirely sure. This is one of those buttons that Keller Williams just kind of added, but never actually told people what it was for. I'm sure some people have kind of figured it out, but I sent over to connected document manager. Do you want to proceed?
Document manager. See, I thought, remember the question that I had for you the other day?
Yeah, it doesn't automatically drag the documents from Docusign into
I think
Command.
that's what it's going to be for eventually.
It may
because this does not make any sense to connect these things and then you have to pull in the files again, you know, from Docusign to here. I think the whole reason why they wanted to connect it was, you know, and then it comes here. Like you have the same name for that file and it'll.
Well, the thing is, not everything is exactly the same. So this was all customized by the office. So
right.
And I don't know if they're going to be able to exactly sync it up unless they were exactly the same form name.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't think it would matter if they just sync it and those, you know, even if they don't fall under these things, if they're there, yeah, you can still select them to submit.
We do want these
to
be under the correct line item, because
then they have to be named the same in both.
Then it makes it easier for us to see things, like particularly an example of binder checks. There's nothing here for a binder check because this is a listing, but it's a rental. But on the buyer side checklist, there is an option for you to upload a picture of your binder check, so that we can see who it was sent by, how much, etc., etc. We definitely want you to put your binder check under that specific line, and don't attach it to another one, because when we're reviewing this, we're looking for, binder check. Oh, okay, there's no picture of a binder check, then we're not holding any funds. If you have it else in the checklist, then we're not going to necessarily see it when we're just doing a quick review to see if we're holding funds on this transaction. That's why that's why they have line items specifically for specific documents.
Right. I was pressing that button thinking that that was it. I'm done. All my
Yeah,
files are
they
back
added
in
this a
command,
while ago, but I
and then
never,
nothing
at first it
happens.
didn't
Yeah.
work, and then now it says that it's syncing it with your transaction manager, but then I don't really know what it actually does after I click it.
Okay. Well,
So
thank you.
that's Keller Williams.
We'll get there eventually.
I'm sure it's got a function, and I'm sure it will be useful. But as far as I know, it doesn't do anything. But does anybody else have any other questions related to DocuSign, Command, etc.?
Sam, I do. It's Stephen.
Okay.
I had an accepted offer, and within 24 hours, the seller decided to accept a better offer. And so, in other words, there wasn't that 3-day period for me to get it into MCA. So, is that okay that I did not submit it?
So, sorry, repeat. So there was one offer. You were representing who? The sellers?
I'm the buyer, and
You're representing the buyer, and so
right,
they accepted your offer, and then they changed their mind.
And the seller changed their mind. They got a better offer within 24 hours, and so that the deal was dead. But I didn't, and of course I had 3 days to submit it to Lisa, but I didn't.
It's no harm, no foul, since the transaction didn't go through.
Right, it didn't go through. So I just want to make sure. I didn't want it to sit there, and then I should have submitted it. But I figured since the transaction wasn't going to happen, there was no need.
We're only looking at the submitted opportunities. So that's the same thing. That's why we're asking you to submit it. So you can create 100 different opportunities. We're not looking at all of the opportunities that you started until you submitted them. You submitting them tells us that you want us to look at this opportunity or look at this transaction.
Okay.
So you could just leave it there as an open transaction. You could archive the transaction or consider, there's a button to toggle the details.
And there's another piece to this too. So I'd like to hide all of those, all of that paperwork that I have in my room, because it just takes up, you know what I mean? Is there a way to do that?
In this area in the room you're talking about?
Yep.
So you would probably be creating, so you had a buyer client.
Yeah, like for example, my buyer client, I have like 20 sheets because we went back and forth, we negotiated. I had a photograph of the binder check, etc. And I would just like to put everything in that room into one, I hate to use the word envelope, but it's a different purpose here.
So you should be able to archive documents.
Oh yeah, I did, but they're still on the screen. You know what I mean? If you archive that one of those documents you have on your screen right now, it doesn't go anywhere. It just says archive.
I think if you archive a form, because the forms are pulled down and can be constantly edited. I don't know if the form itself is going to go away, because you can re-edit this form and use it for a new transaction. I mean, this is exclusive right now, but if it was like a purchase agreement and you filled out your purchase agreement, you had your address, the amount, everything, that deal fell apart, that form is going to stay here, and you can change that form and edit it and change it to the right address and the right, seller's name and the right amount, and then you can send that new version of the form out. So you can only pull down and you can only save the one version of each form. If it was a PDF version, like it was a fully signed version and you wanted to get rid of it, I think if you archive that, it should disappear. But these forms won't disappear.
Okay, thank you.
Because they can be used over and over again, and you can just edit the information in them for that transaction.
Okay.
Anybody else? Other questions? Something you're confused about, or anything miscellaneous?
Sam,
Yes.
after you submit to MC, if there's something wrong with any of the documents, how will we be notified? Via email? Or do we have
It comes here through Command.
Okay.
You should get, like you can see here on my little bell icon, there's a little red dot.
Uh-huh.
That, and I know it's not the most noticeable thing in the world, but that is how you get notified, is through this bell with a little red dot. The little red dot means you have some sort of notification in there.
Okay.
So if you click on this.
Oh, I see. Okay,
You
great.
can see
Terrific.
notifications, and you can click on it, and it should bring you to that opportunity and to that area so that you can view the message or see what else is wrong with it. You can also just dismiss it. Maybe you saw this before and you just want to get rid of it. You can just do that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And when you are, so when your documents do get reviewed, you will have, so here it says uploaded. If your document is okay and it's been reviewed, this will change to green and it'll say approved. If there's something wrong with it, there'll be it'll be like a red bubble that says returned. And so that way you know what documents were okay and what documents maybe needed a change, maybe a signature or something else like that. And then there should also be, if it is returned, it'll be in this space here in between uploaded and the name of the document. It'll look like a little text bubble, kind of like this text bubble here. And if you hover over that, it'll tell you specifically what is wrong with that document.
Oh, perfect. Great. Thank
So
you.
you'll hover over it and it'll say, to exclusive rights to lease, it might say, please get Rick's signature on the exclusive rights to lease, or something like that.
Okay,
You just
that's
hover over it. For
Okay.
general comments on the whole opportunity, or the whole, I should say, folder, since they're linked to the folder, if you use the add comment button, this is also where you'll see comments from either me or Lisa, or you can send comments to us about the transaction, similar to the little chat window that you had in Dotloop. You guys can message back and forth. This is the equivalent of it. It's add comment, and it opens up a box. And if you want to send something so someone gets a notification, you have to @mention them. So use the @ symbol, and then for this, I can mention Lisa and I can mention Adonis, and then they'll get a little notification bubble on their bell, and they can review it themselves. And that's how we give you a notification. We would say @Alice, and then it'll pop up, and it will only pop up with people that are associated with that transaction. I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
great.
sorry, how would it go down?
I'm sorry. You
Are
have to
you
repeat that.
Sure. How would it end up going down? How could it end up going down?
What do you mean? How can it end up going down?
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. There was another call that came in and I am in two different conversations. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Okay. Bye.
That's fine. Yeah, so you'll only have the option to mention, Lisa and Adonis, and I think me. This is mine, so I don't have an option to mention me. When I'm reviewing yours, I have the option to mention you as well. So if this was yours, Alice, it would say @Alice Farina as well as an option. But that's how you mention it. And also, if you're missing a particular document on your checklist, there is an option here where it says missing. So we can just flag it as missing. So maybe you didn't upload the lead paint disclosure. So we can just flag it as missing, and when you review it, just look for the missing document and upload what we need. Are there any other questions?
I have a quick question, Sam.
Yep.
So once it's all said and done, everything has been signed, does Docusign send copies of these signed documents back for our clients to have, or do we manually have to send them everything that's been signed ourselves?
Not entirely sure if it sends it out. I know as the sender, I get notified. I don't know if the people getting sent to also get a finalized copy of it. I'm not entirely sure on that. I'd have to test it with like a dummy and see if it goes through. Yeah, I don't have an answer for that one quite yet.
Okay. Thanks.
Sam,
Yes.
after the buyer and seller, they signed the Docusign document, those are directly going to be update here in the command, or
You just, once everybody has signed it, it'll appear in your Docusign Room under Documents, and you just need to attach it to whichever file it is. So if it's a lease.
okay, So that we have to download as a PDF?
No, no, you don't have to download
No?
it. If it's signed through Docusign,
Uh-huh.
if you are attaching a file, so maybe we want to upload the lease. So here's the lease. We want to
Uh-huh.
add a file,
Mhm.
and then instead of using manual, I'm going to click Docusign,
Okay.
and all of the documents that were in my excuse me, my Docusign room will appear here in this list. So if you had a fully signed lease signed through Docusign, it will appear here, and then
Okay.
you could just select the document and assign it.
Okay.
So you don't need to download it and re-upload it.
Okay. For my other listings, I already got all paperwork, but I directly went to the DocuSign and I have created the envelope there. So can I directly connect here in Command?
So you said you already got your documents signed elsewhere outside of Docusign?
I mean,
Or
I
no?
went to the DocuSign tab. I enter the information. I did not connect through the command. It is, I mean, in the beginning, you said if you go to the transaction, then it will directly go to the DocuSign tab.
Yes, if you do that, because if you go through this way, if you go to a transaction, it will create a room specifically associated with this opportunity. Other documents, if you create a room on your own, excuse me, if you create a room on your own in DocuSign that wasn't created through this go to transaction, it's not going to be linked to your opportunity. So you're not going to have the option to click DocuSign and pull forms because it's not linked to anything.
Okay.
So in that case, if you did
In
create
that I
a
had to do
separate,
manual.
you would have to download them. If you did create a separate room by just logging straight into DocuSign and creating a room, then you would need to download the documents because it's not associated with this particular opportunity. So they're not going to talk to each other.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Sam,
Yes.
do you ever put both sides of the transaction into DocuSign?
So in terms of opportunities, the way Keller Williams wants it is to have separate opportunities. So you would have a buyer side opportunity and a listing side opportunity. If you put them all into one, I mean, we're still going to accept it. We're not going to not accept it if you put all the documents into one like you would on Dotloop.
Well, I guess maybe what I'm thinking is if I'm sending this paperwork out to be signed by my client, and then I send it to the listing agent, okay? But do I put the tabs in for them to sign? You know, the little icon boxes, signature boxes.
So if you're sending it to your clients and then you're going to send it to the listing agent or the other agent, correct? So you're probably not going to you're not going to put in bubbles because it's the other agent's responsibility to get their client to sign however they want them to sign it.
That's great. That's exactly what I wanted to know.
They might not want to do DocuSign. They may know their clients and be meeting them or something like that. So you just can send it to the listing agent.
Okay.
Send the documents over, and then they can get them signed, unless they specifically told you, can you send this to my client afterwards or something like that. Then you could add them to the document. But if there's no mention, I would send it to the listing agent and have them get the clients to sign it. And they'll send it back
and have them do whatever they do electronically or manually.
They might not use DocuSign. They might use some other software. So unless they specifically ask you to do it and you're going to say, okay, I'm going to do it, then I would just send the documents that your client assigned to them and they can get them signed however they plan on having their client sign.
Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's just about 12 o'clock there, so I think that is the end of this class. If you guys have any additional questions, you guys can email me or text me or whatever it is you guys want to do. You can reach me. If there's nothing else, I'm going to end it now.
Thanks, Sam. That was very helpful.
You're welcome, Alice.
And it was good seeing you again.
Yes, I will see you soon. Hopefully next week we can get all this settled. So.
Well, I don't know about me coming in next week, but I'll see you soon.
Well, I will see you soon anyways. I'm sure I'll see you on another Zoom call.
Yes. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Always helpful.
You're welcome.